Views expressed in this podcast are solely those of the participants. The hosts make no claim to be literary experts, and their opinions are exactly that, opinions. All creative works discussed or reviewed are the intellectual property of the creators of said stories and is being used under the fair use doctrine.
Hello and welcome to Of Swords and Soulmates, a podcast where we read, watch, and discuss romantic stories. I'm one of your hosts, Mari, and with me I have Kelly.
Hey everyone, it's Kelly, and we have Ashley.
Hi, it's Ashley. We also have Jonathan.
What's good, everybody? It's JP.
So today we're going to be discussing 5 Broken Blades by Maya Corland. But first, as always, some news. And man, do we have some news. The book news has been newsing lately. So first is, of course, the discussion. I think everybody here has heard of it. And if not, about the Million Lives Book Festival fiasco thing that happened in Baltimore.
That was wild. The feedback on that, of seeing it come from authors and
so basically there was a book festival in Baltimore scheduled for May 2nd and 3rd. It was called the Million Lives Book Festival. It mainly focused on independent authors, and it basically exploded. It did not happen. It was real bad. They're like comparing it to the Fire Festival of book festivals, which you know is never a good comparison. There is an author who has done a 4-part, I guess, in-depth synopsis of her experience at it. I think that's basically how I first heard of it.
Yeah, you didn't see that? I saw the say like the link that's in this chat was like.
I thought it was just like an attendee that posted about it. I didn't dive too deep into it because I felt bad, man. Could you imagine dropping that kind of money and then showing up to like a middle school dance?
It wasn't even a middle school. A middle school dance would have been better.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like concrete floors and like a rows of table, like couple, like maybe it was shaped like a U.
So
and
basically,
music, it
was a convention center. So concrete floors, convention center. I was at a con in Baltimore, Monster Erotica Con last weekend, and where I was at, from when I was going from the airport to the hotel, I walked past this convention center. So it's a whole convention center. The author, if you guys are looking at anyone who's listening, we'll put the links on our notes, but the author is Percy, Perci Jay, Percy J. If you look her up on TikTok, she's got like a 4-part synopsis. She was an attending author there, and I believe also like a top tier sponsor of the event. And basically, like, there were no tablecloths, there were no chairs for the panelists in the rooms. Yeah, there was no decorations at the $250 you paid to go to this ball. There was no ball. There was no music. There was no food. And I'm sure, people are laughing about it now because you can laugh about this stuff after the fact. But, people paid to be there, and the attendants, and then the authors like flew in from other places, probably took time off their jobs, paid to be there, brought in all this, either shipped their books in or paid all this money to bring books in, and who knows what else they were selling. And there was supposed to be 400 to 500 people there. And I think the highest estimate I've heard of people who actually showed up was like 100 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, but wait, was attendance less because people just didn't, so like they paid and didn't show?
No,
or did like
they didn't pay. They didn't sell out. So, apparently this is a first-time event by a first-time person. The person is an author herself who did it. She's not like an event runner. And it's interesting because I put some links that we'll put in the notes. Like there's a YouTuber that I followed. She's an event planner. And I followed her take on events because I thought it was interesting and I kind of related to it. Basically, she was talking about like, as an event planner, this is what went wrong, and this is what, like, at what point this should have been, like, what you should have seen what was going to happen and canceled it, kind of thing. The YouTuber's Biblio Lifestyle, and she basically talks about when you put on an event, you have a set amount of money you have to like have, and if you don't have this many people committed to it by a certain date, you need to cancel it. Like your event's not going to go. You don't wait till the last minute and hope that you make enough people to make your event, which is basically, I guess, what this person did. Like the authors that were there provided stuff for swag bags. The swag bags disappeared. They were never given out.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it's levels upon levels of things. And I don't know, like, yes, yes, like the people who were hurt obviously were the authors who were trying to the people who attended, and like anybody who's a brand new like event person trying to put on their first event, because now everyone's going to be more, skeptical
Cautious.
about new events. Yeah. But it's interesting because the YouTube video person who had done events basically, so in a previous life, in my belly dance days, with some friends, I put on events, and they weren't as big as like a book festival type situation, but you would have multiple, artists or dancers, instructors coming from different states. You'd bring them together. You'd have workshops, which would be comparable to panels. You'd have, you'd have vendors, selling things. And then at the end of the event, you'd have like a belly dance party, a hafla. So you'd have like a performance. You'd have to do sound. You'd have to have a stage, seating. So these are like some things that I understand. And like one of the things that we always did is we had a formula. You have to be able to have this many people committed to sold by this date. Otherwise, you're canceling the event. And we would like, if it came close to it, we were like a few tickets short, we would like post on social media. And if we got the people, then the event would go on. But if there weren't enough people, we would cancel the event, which is the responsible thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. 100%, 100% of the time. It's, sometimes there's embarrassment too. Like,
I think this person got in over their head and just did not know what they were doing. I don't think she was like embezzling.
Malicious.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it was a willful situation. But I think she just got way over her head.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Like for everybody.
It is. I think she did offer, she was like, hey, refunds for those who request.
Right.
But at that point, it's like, to me, it's, how are you have to go in, you're going to have to go in and request it. And it's
right.
It should have just been like, hey, we messed this up.
Yeah.
Here's it's wow.
Yeah.
I feel bad for those who were involved in it.
Yeah. So there's actually,
on both sides.
There's a website. It's indieauthorconnect.com. Has a page on their website. It's called A Million Lives Recovery. And it has a list of all the authors that were attending. So and these are mainly very small indie authors. So if you wanted to, like, anyone out there, if you want to try and help these authors who spent who knows how much with their own money, to not make anything back. If you want to try and buy one of their books, check out their books, review it, whatever. There's a list of authors you can go through. I was thinking maybe we could review one of them, pick one of them and review them for the podcast.
Yeah. I'm down for
Heck
that.
yeah.
Long, classic criteria.
Interestingly, without realizing it, because I didn't really get this deep into this news story last weekend because I was at the Monster Book Con, 2 of the authors from this list were actually at the Monster Erotica Book Con.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you meet them?
I did meet them. They were very, very sweet and very nice. And I, of course, bought books. Surprise, Mari bought books. They're
Sucker.
Yeah. They're spicy monster type books. So one of them it had a Krampus on the cover. So of course I bought it. The book is called Be Terrible. And the author's pen name is Molly Likovich.
Oh,
and the other one, which actually might be more suited for this podcast, I think might be a good one for us to read because it's, I believe, also available on audio. They'll make it easier for everyone to read, is Mallory Dunlin. She wrote one, Captured by the Fey Beast, which looked really interesting. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking maybe we could pick that and read it later this year.
Yeah. What a wild story that was.
Yeah. Not all the authors are romantasy authors. Like there's romance authors. There's a bit of a variety of genres there on that list on the Indie Author Connect page. But I would highly encourage
hold
anyone
it against them
to look over it and see if there's anything that interests you.
Yeah, we won't hold it against them.
I guess it's okay if there's no like monsters or fae or magic, I suppose.
Gotta have a palate cleanser.
Yeah, every once in a while.
Some neurotypical stuff, I guess. No, that was mildly insulting. Sorry.
Yeah, that was the big news, I would say. But we have a few other things. Kandari Blake, who we have read and reviewed and met at last year's RomanticyCon, is writing a new book. It's coming out like way in the future. I don't think she even has a release date yet, but she was really excited about it. She posted on her Instagram. It's going to be called The Stolen Queen.
Ooh.
Yeah. So she described it as 1 part Rush Hour with a healthy shake of The Emperor's New Groove. So sorry. Brain is mush today. The Emperor's New Groove. This romantasy rom-com is currently keeping me sane. The heroine is a bookish, soon-to-be queen who believes that the solution to any problem can be found in a library. The hero is a god stowing away in her head. He's a complete pain in the ass. Doesn't come out for a long time, but I'm so excited. That's her little quote.
I love this.
Yeah,
That
it sounds interesting.
delightful. I really enjoyed that series. The ending felt rushed. It was like Game of Thrones. Like it's like they ran out of money or they rushed it kind of thing. I wasn't disappointed like in the ending. It was kind of what I like. It wasn't displeasing. It just felt rushed, like pushed, like they threw it off the edge. They were like, we're out of money for pages.
Yeah, like I wonder if she was like maybe had she been able to do it in her own time, if she would have gone on to writing something else and then come back to it and maybe felt more into like I feel like she was
maybe
doing it to meet a deadline rather than she really wanted to get a certain story out. Right?
But I definitely like I distinctly remember her books and I really enjoyed that series, which I can't always say, right? Like you can enjoy something and then I typically lose it like in my brain. I was like, what exactly did I read a year ago? But I really did enjoy Kendari. But I remember being excited to meet her too at RomanticyCon.
Yeah.
Tell me again, which book was that?
3 Dark Crowns.
What series?
3 Dark Crowns. Good job.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I like
Gold
that.
star to Mari.
It's a gold star day for Mari.
Okay. Next bit of news. A Feast of Thorns and Roses, which is an ACOTAR cookbook, has just come out on April 1st of this year.
Merchandising.
Yes.
We put the picture's name on everything.
So I have been reading through the ACOTAR series with the Summer and Rebecca, who've been on the podcast. So I've been reading through it with them, and we had gotten together and did like somewhat themed food, had like fairy wine and whatnot. But it's kind of hard to like come up with stuff on the fly. But this book had some interesting looking recipes in it from what I flipped through online. So I think I might get it. I've heard it has a lot of like vegetarian friendly meals, and it looks like it's got a variety, like food, but also like drinks and desserts and snacks and things. So I'm intrigued.
It doesn't, are you going to get the hardcover to cook with, or are you going to cook with your Kindle?
No, not the Kindle. It would be the iPad or my phone, unless I get the hardcover. If I get the hardcover, I don't know if I'm going to get like the paper hardcover, you know, like the spiral bound one, which is nice when you're cooking because it lays flat.
Oh yeah.
But the spiral bound one is like twice the price. It's like $40.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
iPads lay flat too.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't cook a lot. Kelly's the main cook. I have these cookbooks of things like, I'm going to do a Ghibli meal, Studio Ghibli meal, or like a Firefly meal. I've got all these really cool themed cookbooks. Have I done a single damn recipe from any of them? No. Aspirational. So anyways, it's out. It's interesting if anyone is looking to throw like an ACOTAR party or is just looking to try some different recipes or things from the book. That might be something worth checking out.
It's a neat little thing. It's just not what we need from Sarah right now.
Correct. 100%.
What do we need from Sarah?
Book 6.
Yes.
7?
Whatever the next book is.
Whatever the next book is. It's been too long, Sarah.
What, 10 years?
For an ACOTAR book? I was going to say Crescent City came out just a couple of years ago, didn't it?
Yeah, Crescent City came out last year?
Was it? I can't remember if it was last year or 23.
Yeah, but ACOTAR, it's been a minute.
Yeah, she needs to... No, I feel like A Court of Silver Flames, isn't that what it is? That was definitely like just around or just after the pandemic, I feel. But it's still too long.
We need to have some closure to this storyline. We need to know what's...
2021. Published February 20th. Yeah, so pandemic. That's what I said.
Yeah, you're right.
Go
so,
me.
Good memory. Like 4 years.
That's all I got. That's all I got tonight.
Done.
It was nice talking to everybody.
Done. Other bit of news I have is Devney Perry, who wrote the Shield of Sparrows book that just came out.
New thing.
It's been picked up for a movie.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
I think when I had seen that headline, it hadn't even delivered yet.
No. I mean, the book just released on the 6th of May.
Right.
So like it just came out. So that publisher is pushing stuff hard.
Yeah. I've heard good things about the book. I haven't read it yet, but it is sitting in our entryway because it did deliver, and it was so pretty.
Yeah, it is really pretty. It's sitting on our kitchen counter, and I will get to it. I was hardcore reading monster romance books for that con, and then I was hardcore crimping to read the book for today. Literally finished it today.
Oof.
So
yeah, it was a thick one.
Yeah. But it looks interesting. I've heard good things about it. And it's being picked up by Amazon MGM Studios. And the person writing the screenplay is the one who wrote John Wick. So, yeah, that'll be interesting.
I like John Wick.
I did too. I'm trying to think if I liked it for the way it was written or if I liked it for all the cool action scenes and the fact that I love Keanu Reeves. So I don't know.
I think it was all of the above.
Yeah.
We definitely put Ashley through a Keanu Reeves marathon this weekend.
Yes, delightfully so. Most egregious.
Keanu Reeves is fun. So I'll be looking forward to reading that book probably soonish and having an actual opinion on it. Right now, I can just tell you it's pretty and the synopsis sounds intriguing.
I think I sent that to you.
You did.
Like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, I was like, "Damn you, Ash!" Now I've got to pre-order another one. But it was so pretty.
Did you pre-order books for me, Ashley? Is that
books for you?
Yeah. Did I see things in our Amazon cart, or did I accidentally?
Those were you, not I.
Were you pre-ordering books in your sleep?
Well, sometimes he drops stuff in the cart to look at them later because he's thinking about it, and then he forgets about it. Oh.
Yeah, I have to look at it, but it looks like
I didn't buy anything for you.
We're getting books.
I mean, I have pre-orders coming in.
Yeah, but
it's pre-order season, my friend.
Yeah,
apparently, because I definitely have some.
You have books like they've already been ordered?
Yeah, I was surprised.
No, that was you. That's you. That's me. That's me. That's you.
Surprise yourself.
Me. That's me. That's me. That's you.
There were some that I don't remember doing. But
like that one?
Yeah, I didn't remember
you
that
did
one.
that.
I did that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not I.
Okay, so other bit of news we have. Exciting. I feel like we may have slightly manifested this, especially as much as you talked about wanting to see her, Jonathan. Hannah Nicole Mayer is going to be at RomanticyCon in Orlando this year.
Fuck yeah.
I'm
so relieved.
I was so excited.
I thought we were not going to get to see her this year. Like, we had a shot and then we blew it. And
we didn't blow it. We just did something else.
Yeah, that's blowing it, sir.
Nah,
I mean, it was a fun time. Don't get me wrong. But like, I want to meet Hannah Nicole Mayer.
It was, Mara, to give context, it was up against Josh Gad, and we went to see Josh Gad instead.
And got books out of that, which was a surprising turn of events. But I really did want to see Hannah Nicole Mayer and Maya Corland. I hope Maya comes. Maybe she'll come.
Didn't we see Maya last year?
Maya? No, she was not there. Mm-mm.
What did she write?
5 Broken Plates.
Oh.
The book we just read.
The book we just read.
I'm going to be very candid here. This book lost me.
That's for later.
Yes, we're going to get to that. I think Kelly and I have some things to say as well. Last bit of actually, real quick before I move on to the other news, I did want to say that Hannah Nicole Mayer is going to be one of several ticketed authors this year at RomanticyCon, which is different from last year. So I've been on their Discord paying attention, and that doesn't mean that you have to pay more. So you don't have to buy a ticket or anything. It's still the same cost you paid for the con, but the authors that they expect are going to have long lines. You have to, when the app goes live, and like loads up or whatever, you have to get a ticket to basically be able to stand in line, I think.
That's terrible news.
So I don't know who else going to be ticketed, but I know obviously Yaros, Hannah Nicole Mayer. I would assume Allie Hazelwood, if she's still coming, will probably be ticketed.
Dang it. I was hoping that she wouldn't get ticketed.
I mean, maybe not, but I mean, before Yaros, she was the biggest name that I knew that was going to be coming.
So if memory serves, which is not always reliable, let's be honest, last year they only had 2 or maybe 4 authors, but they weren't there every single day. And I think that's what was confusing about this process last year, was that there was a handful of authors that you had to sign up for, like the panels, right?
I believe so.
And those that did sell out, and I say sell out, but I know that we're not paying more for it, but it did sell out very, very quickly. We just weren't particularly, overwhelmingly interested in those authors, which happened to be Penn Cole, who now Jonathan is like, fuck, we missed out on that. But yeah, so I'm familiar with what is going to be required. I'm sad that we're going to have to do it for Hannah Nicole.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Penn Cole will just be a late ad.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, what Hannah Nicole just signed up, so we have time.
Yeah.
Shit can happen.
Yeah.
Penn, if you're listening,
we love you.
Come and see us.
So I will say for anyone who's going to be going, the app that you have to download is the same one that they used last year. It's Guidebook. They just haven't updated with the new information. But if you still have the Guidebook app from last year, that's where it's going to be at. If you don't have it, you may want to re-download it.
You guys should refresh your passwords if you don't remember what it is, because it's going to be go time soon.
Yes, that too.
Do we have an idea of when it's going to go live?
August, I believe is what it was on the Discord.
So last year we got the email on like August 1st, and it came directly from Fabled Fantasy Events. Although I don't think it was quite as clear, right? Like what to do. Like I don't think we understood, that there were going to be authors outside of the ticketed ones, at the time.
Yeah. So
that was confusing for sure. But it's good to know that, some of these bigger names are almost definitely going to be ticketed in that way.
It will help
so that
the chaos, to be honest. Yeah. Like if that's your, someone you really, really want to make a priority, then you know how to do it, So I think hopefully it'll make it smoother for everybody. So
I'm so glad we're going both days this year.
Did we only go to one last year?
Yeah.
You guys did. Okay. I think Kelly and I went both days, didn't we, Kelly?
I think so.
Yeah, we went both days.
Yeah. Okay. Last bit of news is that Bridgerton season 4 will be coming in 2026, which is not news. I think we've known this. However, they did announce that they've officially picked up, for sure, are going to be doing season 5 and season 6 as well.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, not for Netflix, to be honest. Netflix is great at canceling things midway.
They've had so much success, though, with Bridgerton. I would have been shocked had they not followed through. Because, it's just been so popular. And I think it's brought, a lot of people back in. Shonda, they have to keep Shonda. Yeah. If they lose her, they're fucked.
Right.
Well, I don't know that it was a matter of them not following through on some of the stuff. I think that some of the stuff they did, it was just people who were participants in it didn't do such a great job of being human beings.
Oh, I don't know. Some things, yeah, but like my biggest gripe with them was when they had Shadow and Bone, and it was amazing. And just as the story was getting amazing, they're like, nah, we're just going to stop it. We're just going to end it right here. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I think arguably Bridgerton has been such an overwhelming, bigger success for them.
More broad, like for sure. Like more people are, like a wider variety of people, I think, are into Bridgerton than we're into Shadow and Bone. So yeah, good news for anyone looking forward to Bridgerton, which is fun times. Moving on, any news bits anybody else has?
I don't know if anybody else saw. I don't remember where it was announced or how I found out in hindsight, but the Alchemized by Sin Lin Yu is now arriving a week earlier.
I saw that.
In September.
Yes.
I'm not sure why. I'm not asking why.
I'll take
but
it.
I thought that was important news. Yeah, like that's the kind of movement we want to see.
Yeah.
In release dates.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I'm excited.
So I thought that was cool. I thought it was cool that they announced it. You know what I mean? Like that's something I would probably keep a little bit closer to the vest in case it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But no, they were like, hey.
Earlier than we thought. You guys. Yeah. So that'll be nice. That'll be good. I honestly couldn't remember when it was supposed to come out because I pre-ordered it. So it just was showing me the new date.
It was supposed to be like September 30th and now it's the 23rd.
Okay.
So not like huge gains, but it's still impressive.
Yeah. Might be able to get it and get it read before Halloween. So that'll be nice.
Right.
All right. Anything else for anybody else? So we're moving on to talk about the book that we read. We read 5 Broken Blades by Maya Corland. We chose it because we were looking for an AAPI founder. So it's AAPI month, which is Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. And also Ash had already read it, I believe. Like you had read it and recommended it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you were the only one
to recommend it.
Yeah,
I agree.
Okay. So let me go on with the synopsis.
My bad.
Then you guys can yell at me.
So it was published May 7th, 2024. And here is the synopsis. It's the season for treason. The king of Yusan must die. The 5 most dangerous liars in the land have been mysteriously summoned to work together for a single objective, to kill the God-King Jun. He has it coming. Under his merciless, immortal hand, the nobles flourish, while the poor and innocent are imprisoned, ruined, or sold. And now each of the 5 blades will come for him. Each has tasted bitterness, from the hired hitman seeking atonement, a lovely assassin who seeks freedom, or even the prince banished for his cruel crimes. None can resist the sweet, icy lure of vengeance. They can agree on murder. They can agree on treachery. But for these 5 killers, each versed in deception, lies, and betrayal, it's not enough to forge an alliance. To survive, they'll have to find a way to trust each other. But only one can take the crown. Let the best liar win.
Come on. That's amazing. I just got chills.
It is a pretty cool synopsis. It is a very cool synopsis. As usual, as our new usual, we are going to be talking about the book in full. So if you care about spoilers, I guess read it first before listening, because we're just going to go on and talk about everything. Whoever wants to talk first. Overall rating, what did you guys think?
Should I go first? I feel like I'm the only one that's happy with it. I loved this book. I think this was probably one of the first books I devoured this year. And I found out after the fact that I enjoyed the audiobook more, but mostly because my brain never says names and certain words, right? Because I've never heard them before, right? So I actually did enjoy the audiobook because I was kind of like going back and forth for some reason. I don't remember why now. So the audiobook made it a little bit easier because there were differences in the voice. They had an actor for each voice.
Yeah, that would be
and
nice.
I thought that was really impressive. And I thought it just kind of helped, assign the character a little bit better and, their feelings and story a little bit better. So I was a huge fan of this book. I couldn't put it down.
I, on the other hand, could put it down.
You put it down a few times. I think.
So a lot of it, I'm joking here. So I'm not going to I'm going to remove myself from the rating system for this one because I don't have, Mama said if I don't have anything kind to say, I shouldn't say anything at all. I was distracted throughout the book because it just felt, at no point was I sure about what was happening ever and from whose perspective.
That's what made it great.
And it was just like, it was as if somebody had mixed a bag of Skittles with M&Ms and I was just like, let's just stand back and see what happens.
What the fuck?
Nobody tell them anything. That's what I felt like. So I'm not gonna give a rating, but those are my feelings.
Kelly, what did you think?
I wanted to like this book. I really did. It started off with the premise that it was a heist book. So it had that vibe to it. I've got to assemble a crew. So it had that. I liked the setting because I like things that aren't in the typical European style setting. So that was nice. But it was all over the place. I feel like everything moved around. There was so many misdirections by the author to try and keep you guessing. I feel like this is a book that the author wanted to write, and then she watched Knives Out or The Glass Onion and decided that was the direction she needed to throw in there. I think that some of the problem came from not just that there were too many characters, because it wasn't that there were too many characters, it was that the characters were so complex in how she was trying to establish them that you never, I think, got a good sense for them. Like this is one of those books that if she had written 5 different books, each about each of the 5 people to establish them really well, and then had them all come together, it may have done better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, Kelly. Like if she had written from each book from their perspective in the same time frame.
Right. And I have a lot of problems, and that's just me. I have a lot of problem with books that change characters' perspectives several times just because it feels jarring sometimes. And I think that I had that problem even with Game of Thrones to a degree. I think overall, the book just didn't do it for me. Like I said, I wanted to like it, but I feel like it just didn't tie up all together, and the ending felt very rushed and confusing. And you had the constant hint of somebody is going to betray us. Somebody's going to betray us. And we go back to that classic trope of the only way the good guys fail is because somebody betrays them.
Mm.
And that's just such a tired and overused thing in fiction, is that you like the good guys and you think that the good guy characters are infallible. So the only way the authors or writers can make the good guys fail is to have them be betrayed. Not because they just somehow they're not competent enough at this one thing or something happens that doesn't go their way. It's got to be because they're betrayed.
Like a self-defeat kind of thing.
Right. It's a constant trope that you see in so many movies. You know, like I was just thinking about this the other day, The Matrix. The only way Morpheus and Neo and Trinity failed was because they got betrayed.
Mm.
This goes all the way back to, talking early literature, and you just see it everywhere. Like the good guys get betrayed, and that's how they end up failing or losing.
Yeah. Yeah. I basically agree with you. So if I had not been reading this book for the podcast, I would have DNF'd it, to be quite honest. I'm glad I finished reading it, but I did have a lot of problems with it. I really got real tired, real fast of all the sexism in it. And this is not just this author. I know this is something that I've kind of been getting tired of the more and more fantasy and romantasy I read, where we can imagine a world with like unicorns and dragons and magic and fairies and whatever, but we can't imagine equality. You have to be thought of as being weaker or dumber or whatever because you're a girl. Apparently nobody's a woman in this world. You're just a girl or a whore. I guess those are the only two ways that females were referenced in this world. And it was real off-putting. I was just like, woof. Getting beyond that, I didn't like the choppiness of the chapters were real short for it to be jumping around so much. It's a testament to the author's writing that I wanted to know more about these characters. Like, I was intrigued. I wanted to know their stories. But as soon as I felt like I was starting to get a vibe for a character, it was like, whoop, 2 pages in, time for another one. And so that was a little whiplashy. I ended up having feelings about some of the characters, which once again means better writing than I would have originally thought, because like I hate some of these characters, which, is not indicative of bad writing. If anything, it's good writing if you feel that strongly about some of the characters. So for me overall, it like averaged out to a 3 because there were some strong feelings in both directions. Like, I think this would be a really interesting, basically like you said, Kelly, like a TV series or TV show, because a lot of the things that I found problematic were some of the internal monologue stuff where I'm like, I think that if it were more show me, that these characters feel this way rather than sitting there having them stare at each other in a room while they each have internal monologue, a lot of which was real difficult to read. I guess you're strong for a girl. I guess you're smart for a girl. My whore mother, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So overall 3 for me.
High marks by this crowd. Except for Ashley. Ashley was in love with this whole series. What is it about the series, Ashley, that made you fall in love with it?
I mean, I guess it's probably been a long time since I've read a book with so many perspectives. And I think it was a little bit more whodunit than we've read in the past. I thought the concept was intriguing. I mean, given the climate of things recently, I can understand why it probably doesn't hit, as hard. I think I take reading a little bit more superficially. And so I don't think that it alluded to a period of time where that's just what the thought process was for women. You know what I mean? So I guess I didn't hold that against it kind of thing, because we weren't talking about a modern book.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that the betrayal was on 2 different sides. Like they were set up for failure.
Yeah.
From the get-go. Like, and that was a different perspective for me in this type of book. And then to understand, that the story was going to evolve and that they had to continue. I don't know. It wasn't a perfect ending, and it kind of left me itching. Like, well, fuck, what happens next?
Yeah, it definitely felt like a on the next season.
Right.
You got to figure out what happens next. So,
like, it was super suspenseful, right? Like, I don't typically try to figure out books before they end, right? Like oh, if this is a whodunit, well, then we're going to find out along the way because Ashley's not guessing. I'm here for the entertainment, not for the thinking.
Yeah.
So it was super interesting to me for that.
I don't know that there's much of anybody that participates on the Fabled, the Fable app book club that we have, where we do chapter by chapter things. I think it's just Eloquent Muse and I back and forth talking to each other. But my comments on each chapter as I read got progressively more and more unhinged. So if you want some good times, feel free to check those out.
I like Unhinged.
Yeah. All right, fantasy world building. What did we think of the world building?
I thought the magic that they were talking about, and maybe magic's not the right word, you know, the pieces of the dragon god that made the king or the wearer, what's the word I want? Immortal,
special power.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah. Well, and yeah, sometimes it came with a special power. To understand that each realm kind of had something of that nature. And, you know, at the end of the book, we find out what the king was ultimately trying to gain from this, you know, little charade of his. Man, I think I'm slightly corrupt because I did read book 2 as well. So I'm trying to keep my thoughts in line with book 1. I thought an assassin, and maybe there are other stories like this that I've just not read, but I thought an assassin who used her body to kill was super interesting. I thought what she had to go through to get that level of killer was extremely sad. Yeah. I don't know. They all had such interesting stories that didn't necessarily rely on magic, but it did rely on their history, right? Current and further back. I was entertained. I thought it was like a 3.5. I mean, it wasn't anything overwhelming or enlightening. There wasn't a ton of magic. We didn't have dragons, right?
Yeah.
And we have what feels like just like a sampling of magic in book 1. I was entertained enough to want book 2 pretty quickly. So it was, I say like a 3.5 for the world building.
How about you, Jonathan?
I was confused most of the time.
I don't know that was all her fault.
No, I'm not blaming her. That's why.
No, I'm just saying, like, you read at 5x, you listen at 5x, and you weren't reading with the book.
No, I had the physical copy in front of me, and I was reading
the whole time.
Not the whole time. Eventually,
how much of the
time? A third of the time. About the time when if like Mari said, I would have DNF'd if it wasn't for this. So I would say I knew there was a world. Most of my attention was focused on trying to figure out who was talking to me.
I had so many notes on the characters. I was like, wait, who is this person? Okay, let me go back.
Yeah. I lost massive track of like okay, so were you sold you were sold in the slave? Were your parents? Did your parents your parents had a debt, they gambled you away? What happened? You got your sister involved? Are you the main character? I was struggling. I was struggling.
Nobody
real
was
hard.
the main character.
Right.
Nobody was the main character? It wasn't the girl?
No.
Are you serious?
If anything, they were all main characters.
Yeah, they were all main characters.
Oh, God. This whole time.
And a significant, because they're all main characters, but a significant one dies in book 2.
This whole time, I was like, dang, main character girl.
No.
But no, apparently.
It's very Game of Thrones that way.
Yes. Which he's not indulged. He doesn't have the trauma though.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, nothing about that. Nothing. I know nothing about what you say.
You know nothing.
I know nothing.
He doesn't know how important that is.
I know.
Oh, wait, that means something?
Yes.
Nothing. Jon Snow.
Jon Snow, you know nothing.
Yeah, you got me. Is that Pineapple Dog?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You got that.
I got that much. That's that much I got away with. Yeah. Sorry. I like I said, I know there was some sort of there was stuff going on. There was a world. I don't know what was going on in it the whole time. I guess I've never read a book that I was more confused about and that I didn't like. In other books, I wanted to go back and be like, oh, I didn't catch this. Let me go figure this out. Once I got past it in this one, I was like, Nah, we're good.
Oh, well, hope
I don't
that wasn't
need to go
important.
Yes, 100%. Like 100%, Mari. I was like, man, they'll tell me more about that later if I need to know. I was like, oh, this is, and then was it? It felt like I was in Asia. Is that an accurate
I believe so.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
If nothing else,
So,
like some of the food that was described, like they were describing some food, and I was looking up recipes. I'm like, man, that sounds good.
So in that regard, I feel like maybe world, but I don't know. Really, I really don't know. I don't have a good answer here. 4, 3, 3, right down the middle of the road.
3.5.
Sure.
Kelly, what you think?
There were some interesting things that the author toyed with. I think that I would have liked to have more time exploring these relics and more time about the Ethereum and the magic and whatnot, because that obviously ended up playing a bigger role near the end of the book. So I thought that was an interesting thing, but I think we could have spent more time exploring that. Didn't feel very well fleshed out. I think the concept of the poison maidens it's an old concept in Asian literature. The Vishkanya, where like young women used as assassin, trained, raised from an early age on a diet of poison. It's like been around since Sanskrit. I don't remember what time that was, time frame. I don't remember that well, but I'm sure it was like, I think it's like, it goes back to like the early stuff like Sanskrit, BC era stuff.
Interesting.
But it's become a popular theme in a lot of Indian literature and folklore. There was a book about the Vishkanya in 2007 that was sort of taken a new direction, where the poison maidens were women who were deliberately infected with like HIV in order to seduce men and kill powerful men and stuff like this. There's been several films about it. There's several other TV shows that have had characters about it, several novels that have it. So it's not an entirely new concept. I mean, we essentially see that same type of character with like Poison Ivy from the Batman genre, Batman area. So it's not an entirely new concept. So it was interesting to bring it in because it struck me a lot like Kendari Blake's books, where we had the sisters, and one of the sisters was, powerful with poison supposedly and stuff. So interesting that we had that character in that. I thought it was interesting to have that juxtaposition of the poison maiden as an assassin. I found Royo's character to be interesting just because his whole backstory seemed very interesting. Tortured by this, thing that he may or may not have been responsible for. So he's doing everything he can to get this person out of prison as payback, knowing that even if he does, the person still won't, not forgive him and stuff like that. But he's doing it just because he feels like he needs to right that wrong.
It's very tragic.
So yeah, it has a very tragic element to it. And I found that interesting. I didn't particularly care for Prince Ewan and Mikhail's story. I mean, it was fine, but I didn't find it especially compelling. So I found the idea, of the immortal emperor that only can be killed when his crown is off. And like, despite all of the ridiculous steps that they must go through, so that he never has to take his crown off, they apparently take it off enough that they can be assassinated fairly frequently, it seems. So I don't know that really worked for me, the idea that the crown made him immortal.
Yeah. I think it was interesting that, you had the crown that made him immortal. And then you had the cost that each of the artifacts had. So the ring that made things gold caused you physical pain. The crown, I guess, was the only one that didn't really have a cost.
That we know of.
Right? Yeah, that we know. Other than, I guess the curse would have been it has to be of the bloodline. Because that was Prince Ewan's whole thing. It was like, well, even if I get it on my head, am I just going to die? Because I'm not, of the bloodline, potentially.
Right, but there was doubt about cast on that was even accurate.
Right. The time turner thing, had the cost of aging you, which was kind of interesting when you use it. Yeah, I also thought of Kendari Blake's Poison Queen situation when I read this. I liked, is it Sora? Sora, right? Sora. Yeah, I like Sora's backstory. I thought she was really tragic, really interesting character. Royo, I thought was super tragic, super compelling. Tai grew on me, to be quite honest. Also very tragic. I didn't like the prince so much. Like, I think maybe he could have been a redeemable person, but then like I said, a lot of the sexism really got to me. And then also there was a point, one of the many unhinged things I went into on the book club, where like the prince talks about what he's going to do as soon as he gets the crown. Like, if he doesn't, die instantly, what's he going to do? It's going to be his first act. And he was talking about basically like appearances and like how to spin it. I'm like, oh, so he's talking about erasing history and gaslighting and spinning a good story. That's going to be his first act as a ruler. Like, yeah, great job there. You real good character. Like, but I was already very anti him. But once again, I had feelings, and this doesn't mean that the writer was a bad writer. Like, if you make me hate a character, you've still done a really good job at creating a character that I hate. You know what I mean? Like Joffrey in Game of Thrones. Like, I hate Joffrey. Everybody hates Joffrey, but that means he's a well-written bad guy. Right. Mikhail's kind of the same thing. Mikhail was like a master. I don't know, maybe if we knew more of his story, we would care, but he's just a master user of people and manipulator and cold.
You do get more.
Yeah, I figured eventually, because I'm just like, oof, you could just die right now.
I think that was kind of the point, though, too, was, I think Kelly had mentioned that things hadn't really been fleshed out. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe that was some of the appeal, because it was like, again, you're just getting that taste, right? And it's, well, but I need more. Like, where's the rest of it? You know what I mean? I need a second helping of this. Yeah. For me, anyway.
Yeah. So for me, Fantasy World, it gave it a 3. I mean, there were elements that were cool, like, so the artifacts with the potential like curses, that was kind of interesting. I, felt like there was some of the, colonialists like takeover of and the lower underclasses trying to rise up and overthrow the tyrant king was compelling and interesting. I did not pay attention at all to the towns they were in, to be honest. I was like, I'm good to keep track of these names. I'm not writing these towns. I know nothing about these towns. I don't know where they are.
They definitely went on an adventure. Yeah. They were everywhere.
Yeah. You're building more world than I could possibly take in. It was
a lot of world. Yeah.
How do we feel about the romance?
So arguably, the romance for this romantasy was mostly minimal. I think, you see the romance blossom between, Royo and is it Arya?
I forget
how she says her name. Yeah.
Arya. Yeah.
And then Arya, something like that. And that was cute. Yeah. Right? Like, it was very like high schooly. It was like, oh, but does he like me or do I like him? Like, what's happening here? The infatuation that what's his name's son, the count's son has with Taeyang, that he has with Sora is confusing, right? Like, it makes you feel very conflicted, because you don't want to like this individual, and then Mario, like you said, you kind of start to, and you're like, man, does that make me a bad person? Right? Like, what's going on with me? But you get more of his story, and I don't remember if that happens in book 1 or book 2, so I won't say anything. And you see that he's trying not to be his dad, and that's very impactful. But then also, Mikhail, and he's got such a good story. Sorry. I think they all had their own romances, and they were at different levels, right? One had more history than the other had no history at all. And then one was a brand new, like, hey, what the fuck's going on here? And I really liked, having those different, it was like a sampler. It was like I went to Chili's and there was a sampler platter, and I had a little bit of everything. So while the romance was not overwhelming, it was not perfect, and we got it in micro doses from 3 different couples. I thought what was there was solid for each individual's perspective. And so again, it was like a 3.5 for me, because this wasn't a life-changing book, but I just felt it was very, very good. Nothing registered.
No, yeah, it was. I'm telling you, it was like a race, and I was dying to keep up. I just couldn't make it happen. There was, I think and maybe this is why I like latched on to the lady, the poison lady, like the whole like. I really wasn't looking for love because I didn't think it was going to happen. So then I just shifted all my attention over to who's talking now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything here.
Okay. Kelly?
I think Ashley summed it up best. I think there were a lot of little blossoming romances that we got to see. I mean, obviously you had Mikhail and Ewan's previous romance that kind of gets reignited or whatever. Then you have the little romances, tensions building up and stuff, but overall there really wasn't a whole lot of romance going on. There was just subtle and slow little bits. So I think it wasn't terrible. It's not like it was terrible. It was fairly well done, but there just wasn't, it didn't seem like romance was much of a plot point of any part of this book, really. So I ended up saying maybe this would be like a 2.5 on the romance.
Okay. So I thought the romance is what I rated the highest, to be honest. I gave romance a 4. And the reason is I thought that Taeyung's like unrequited for the large part of it love for Sora, and even though she was like this basically poison incarnate, that he wanted to kiss her so bad he was willing to risk death just to maybe kiss her. That's just super, I don't know, maybe it's unhealthy, but it's super romantic to me. I would die for you type romance. And that he was just wanted her to be happy, and he was just he was willing to accept whatever she was willing to give his way. I thought that hit very well for me. Also, I love a grumpy sunshine situation, and to me Royo was just super grumpy bodyguard.
Yeah.
Oh, loved him. Like, I just, yeah, him trying to work through what he was feeling in this stream of consciousness situation was very interesting to me. I really liked him. I don't like Eri, but I liked him.
Eri. I kept saying Arya, but yeah, Eri.
I don't know, because I didn't listen to it, but it's Aeri is how it's spelled.
Yeah, no, Eri's right.
Eri,
now
okay.
that you said it, it's stuck.
So I really didn't like her, probably because I like him so much. And I'm like, you hurt him. How dare you hurt him? He is traumatized enough. How dare you? Yeah. Sora was an interesting character in that she was so closed off because she's had to be. She is a weapon. You know, She is death incarnate. To me, there was a lot of romantic elements in it. Maybe not traditional, but there were a lot of moments that really like hit pretty well for me. So I would say a 4 for romance for me.
I'm not mad at it.
Spice?
Oh, there was no spice. There was, of all the things that this book had, spice was not one of them. And I don't feel like we get a whole lot of it in the second book either. So if you're in it for the spice, this is not the one for anybody. So I think there are allusions to spice. I think there are far more details of passion than spice. I'd say it's like a 1 for spice. That's being generous.
Ditto.
Ditto.
Enough said.
Yeah, enough said. I didn't get love out of it. I didn't get spice either.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought maybe it would be a little spice. It started off like hints of like some darker stuff, and then I thought, oh, okay, good. They're steering this book away from that, and then there were a couple more hints throughout that, like there was like this focus on like objectification, and then I was just like, maybe this just won't happen kind of thing. So I don't know. Yeah, ditto.
I pretty much agree. I think there was minimal spice. I think it was a 1.
I went for a 2. I thought there were a few little moments that had some spiciness to it, just in some of the things that were mentioned. Not a whole lot. It was very, very, very minimal. Last question, as always, is this a kissing book?
So here's the thing. Hear me out, guys. Is this a kissing book? I think this is a kissing book for some of the characters, but not all of the characters. I think Taeyong, this was very much a kissing book. I think for, man, I was going to say Mikhail, but I know too much. And so no. No, this is not a kissing book. Decision made.
Okay.
It's not, but it was still a very good book.
How about you guys?
It was not a kissing book for me either. It was a happy ending, I thought, because I was happy to put it down.
Damn.
Dang. I mean, it wasn't romantic there. We would have gotten to the same spot without any of the romance that was barely blooming.
So I disagree. I think it was a kissing book. And the reason I say that is I think that enough of the characters' motivations were motivated. They were led by their heart that I don't know that we would have gotten to the same place without it. I think that if Royo didn't love or be obsessed with Eri the way he was, he wouldn't have trusted people, because there's people that he kind of let in and trusted because they helped save her life. And I think if she'd just been like another job for him, I don't think he would have done that. So I think trust would have been different. I think Taeyang's, all his actions are all about Sora. Like the fact that he tore up her indentured slave servitude thing. Yeah, is all about his love for her. And maybe even, like I said, I didn't really like the characters of Ewan and Mikhail, but I think that if Mikhail hadn't had the relationship with Ewan and, have this drive to find him, he couldn't have been manipulated into being a part of the plot. Like, I don't think the plot would have gotten where it was without like all the different, love things that were going on. So for me, I'm going to say yes, it's a kissing book. I think the plot would have been different.
For anybody wondering, book 2 is out and available, and book 3 comes out this summer, I think July, and I have pre-ordered it. I'm very excited. They are also very pretty. These are very, very, very pretty books with their sprayed edges and lovely book covers.
They're like chunkers too. It's like, isn't the second one like 700 and something?
They were thick girls.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to Of Swords and Soulmates. Before we go, make sure to check the show notes, rate and review us, and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice. It helps others to find us. Follow us on Instagram at Of Swords and Soulmates, or join our Facebook page, Of Swords and Soulmates. Check us out on our website, ofswordsandsoulmates.com, or on YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest with the same username. If you'd like to offer a suggestion for a future episode or reach out to us to give us your opinion on anything, please feel free to do so on any of those platforms. If you want to read along with us as we prep for a new episode, follow us on Goodreads at Of Swords and Soulmates, or for chapter by chapter interaction and my unfiltered takes, go to the Fable app and join the Swords and Soulmates book club at your own risk. And we also have a tome account, which is Of Swords and Soulmates. Before we announce what we're going to be reading for our next episode, I'd like to read a review that someone left us on...
We have a review?
We do. It's an older one. I've been so bad about doing this. It's an older review. This is on Spotify. And someone said, it was usernames. It's an anonymous message. This is another great episode. I was laughing at the spoiler drum solos. This also helps me figure out if I want to read a book or not based on your varied views. Love it.
Hot dog.
Yeah. Okay, so I will say in a second what we're going to be doing for the next episode. But before we do that, I will tease that we're going to be doing a little bonus episode at some point with some people who were at Monster Erotica Con, which may or may not be your jam. But if Monster Romance is your jam, or you think it might be your jam, or you want to taste and see if it's your jam, I would pay attention when we release it. It'll be a little bonus episode. I'm going to try and get together with a few people who were there and just give a little review about that con and that experience. Overall, very positive. It was a good one. Would highly recommend. Is the too long didn't read, didn't listen version.
I love that.
Yeah,
I'm
it was
excited for that.
so good. The vibes felt like a family reunion with all the weird family that you love. That's like the best way to describe it. All right. Last but not least, we hope you'll join us in 2 weeks for our next episode when we will be discussing the 1999 movie Dogma. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.